Namaste. Adi Shankaracharya is one of the most influential saints of Indian spirituality. Many argue that he's the reason why Hinduism still survives today. This video means a lot to me because I regard Shankaracharya as my guru. And I'm sure that you'll find many sources out there that can narrate the events of his lifetime. But today I want to give you a context so that you can better appreciate his contribution to Hinduism. Throughout the history of the Indian subcontinent, spirituality has oscillated between atheism and theism. Around the time that Shankara was born, what we consider Hinduism today was splintered into various factions. There was no unifying philosophy to bring these different groups together, and so they resented each other and lived in isolation. In his short lifespan of 32 years, Shankara was able to consolidate these various ancient Hindu traditions under the common philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. Now, he didn't necessarily invent Advaita, but he used it to unite India in a common spiritual framework. But before I jump into Advaita Vedanta, let me give you a quick summary on Shankara's life. Shankara was born in Kalari in 788 CE, which is in modern-day Kerala, India. He was born into a Brahmin family and his parents were Shivaguru and Aryamba. Legend says that Shivaguru and Aryamba performed meditation for many years praying for a child. Lord Shiva was finally pleased with them and appeared before them, and he gave them two options. He could either give them a child that lived a very long time but was dumb, or he could give them a brilliant child that had a short lifespan. They elected the latter option, and Shiva blessed them with a son named Shankara. Many believe that Shankaracharya is an avatar, or a reincarnation of Lord Shiva. Ever since he was a child, Shankara showed an inclination towards the spiritual life. Unfortunately, his father died when he was young, so he was raised by his mother. His mom did her best to make sure that he completed his education and fostered his spiritual aspirations. Around the age of 8, Shankara had already mastered all of the Hindu scriptures available to him, and he was ready to become a monk. When he first went to his mom to ask for permission, she said no, because that was her only son and she didn't want to lose him. But Shankara persuaded her and promised her that before she passes away, he will come and visit her. He embarked on a journey northward to find a guru, whom he found in Govinda Bhagavad Pada. He learned everything that his guru had to offer to him and then embarked on a journey throughout South Asia to spread his philosophy. Essentially, whenever Shankara went to a new village, he asked for a debate with the smartest person in that village, with the condition that the loser of the debate would accept the philosophy of the winner. He ended up debating people from various schools including atheism, materialism, ritualism, and fatalism. But Shankara never lost. Shankara's core belief was that we all have a permanent self called Atman, and that this is not different from the everlasting, eternal Brahman. Now, there's no easy translation into English for these terms, but roughly speaking, Atman is soul and Brahman is God. Basically, Shankara is saying that the only true reality is God, and that all of us living beings come from God. This is called Advaita, or non-duality, and this goes beyond monotheism into monism. Vedanta refers to the final portion of the Vedas, which are the oldest Hindu scriptures, and contain all the essential teachings of the Vedas. Shankara used Vedanta to propagate the idea of Advaita, hence the term Advaita Vedanta. With these core beliefs, Shankaracharya spoke out against caste discrimination, animal sacrifice, and ritualism. He gave people hope that if they followed the path of Advaita Vedanta, they too could realize their true inner self, which is Atman, and connect with Brahman. He emphasized the practices of critical thinking and personal experience, rather than blind faith and rote memorization. Now, it's no secret that Shankaracharya's teachings were contrary to Buddhism, which states that there is no God and there is no soul, therefore there is no permanent self. Though on the surface Hinduism and Buddhism have these opposing beliefs, there is actually more in common between them than we think. They both state that the material world is impermanent and therefore an illusion, and they both emphasize peace, self-reflection, and aim for liberation. The difference is that the goal in Hinduism is to attain Moksha, or liberation and unity with God, whereas the goal of Buddhism is to attain Nirvana, or freedom from suffering and existence. Before leaving Earth, Shankaracharya set up 4 centers of learning, or mutts, in the 4 corners of India, and he designated his 4 disciples as the leaders of those centers, conferring upon them the title of Shankaracharya. Since then, each successive disciple has taken the title of Shankaracharya. But the Shankaracharya that I've mentioned throughout this video is the original Adi Shankaracharya. After hearing all of this, you might be thinking, yeah, sure, he's great, but how can he say that he's the reason why Hinduism survives today? Well, think about all the different prayers and stotras that you know. Bhaja Govindam, Mahishasura Mardini Stotra, Nirvana Shataka. All of these were composed by Shankaracharya. He also wrote commentaries on the Brahma Sutras, the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita, taking these very complex Sanskrit scriptures and writing commentary in a more simple Sanskrit so that we can understand. In his compositions, he praised Shiva, Devi, Vishnu, and all other forms of God equally, so that anyone from any of the different Hindu traditions could look upon Shankaracharya and incorporate his philosophy into their beliefs. Before I end, I want to tell you one more story about Shankara, which I think will give you a better idea as to what kind of a person he was. So remember in the beginning I told you that he promised his mom that he would come back to see her before she passed away? Well, when Shankara sensed that his mom's time on earth was ending, he went back home to see his mom, spend some time with her, and comfort her during her final moments. When she passed away, he was about to cremate her and perform the final rituals when the local monks came and tried to stop him. See, back in ancient India, when you became a sannyasi or a monk, you had to sever all ties with your family, and you could no longer participate in rituals like this. But Shankara didn't care about what the world would say or what these silly rules were. He loved his mom, and he made a promise to her that he would do this. So, to the surprise of the monks, he went ahead and cremated her and performed the final rituals, for which he was shunned by the monks. Through this, Shankara tries to teach us that we should always do what we feel is right, not necessarily what tradition tells us what we should do or what society would think we should do. Hopefully now you can appreciate Adi Shankaracharya's contribution to mainstream Hinduism and Indian spirituality. Thanks for watching, and namaste.